the difference between observational studies and experimental studies. Here we're going to dive a little bit deeper into experimental studies and talk about the 4 components you need to see in every experiment. The first component is this idea of having a control group. In the control group, you want to have some kind of baseline or group that doesn't receive the treatment so you can have a comparison to make. Randomization. I'm going to move a little bit quickly, by the way, because I'll assume you've heard of some of these. Randomization. You want to randomize your participants to minimize any lurking variables. That's kind of the whole idea behind an experiment, randomly assigning subjects to groups. And then this idea of blinding and double blinding. So blinding, the subject does not know what treatment they're receiving or what group they're in. Double blinding is where the researcher as well does not know what group the subject is in. And then this helps researchers from unintentionally biasing or providing support to one group or the other. And then finally, replication. You need to do this a lot of times. If you observe one friend get a particular result, you're not going to say, done, I've proved it. There's variability. That's the essence of statistics. If without replication, we can't quantify that variability. So we need a lot of replications. You need to show results on several different subjects. So let's check out an example of a study. I have kind of the abstract here, and some of the notation here might seem strange to you. That is just fine. We're going to be, by the end of the semester, you'll be able to know what all this stuff means, this SE, P less than, and so on. Okay, so this 2010 study says our objective is to investigate whether sleep-deprived people are perceived as less healthy, less attractive, and more tired than after a normal night's sleep. So they had 23 healthy, sleep-deprived individuals that were photographed. They had 65 untrained observers that were rating these photographs. So how they did this, participants were photographed after a normal night's sleep, and then again after sleep deprivation, 31 hours of wakefulness after a night of reduced sleep. And the photographs were presented in a random order and rated by untrained observers. So their main outcome, they were looking at the difference in ratings for perceived health, attractiveness, and tiredness using this visual analog scale. Think of that as just a line. It goes from 0 to 100, and they put a dot somewhere on that line where they rated the individual. And they found that sleep-deprived people were in fact rated as less healthy, more tired, and less attractive than after you had a normal night's sleep. So let's think about our 4 components of a good experiment and see how we can find those in this study. So we had this idea of a control group. In this particular study, the participants were their own controls. They were photographed both when they had a normal night's sleep and a sleep-deprived night. So I'm going to say they were self-controls in terms of being photographed under both conditions, baseline of well-rested and then treatment of sleep deprivation. Then again, I may not be doing these in the same order, and that's fine. So we need control group. We need randomization. And I don't know if you notice above, but they said the photographs were presented to the raters in a randomized order. So those rating the photos didn't know if it represented sleep-deprived or not. They're presented in a random order. And then if we want to talk about blinding, obviously the subjects could not be blind. They knew if they had sleep or didn't have sleep. But the raters, they didn't know because, again, the previous comment, the photos were presented in a random order. So I'll call them the raters did not know the condition. Again, because of the random order of presentation. And then finally, replication. They had a lot of nice replication going on here. They had replication on 2 different levels. So if you notice here, they had 23 people being photographed, and they had 65 people rating the photographs. So 2 layers of replication. 23 photo, I'll abbreviate here, and then 65 people rating the photographs. So this was a well done experiment in terms of including those 4 key components of a good experiment.